Coming up on High Noon here at News Radio 840 WHAS Louisville. We should check in with our news department. Jeff Milby is covering that for us in studio today.
Hey, Terry. More on the shooting here. It is a mass shooting in Louisville. It happened at 8:30 this morning at the Old National Bank on East Main Street, adjacent to Louisville Slugger Field. Here's Paul Humphrey. He's the deputy chief of LMPD.
At least 2 officers were shot during this exchange of gunfire. One is currently in surgery at University of Louisville Hospital. At least 4 more victims were confirmed to be deceased inside the location, as well as 8 that are now currently being treated at the University Hospital. 2 are critical, one of those being the officer.
At least 5 people dead, including the shooter. 8 people injured, including 2 officers, one of those in critical condition currently in the hospital. The other officer's injuries were deemed non-critical by LMPD. LMPD believes that the shooter involved in the case, the alleged shooter, was a previous employee of the bank.
We believe this is a lone gunman involved in this that did have a connection to the bank. We're trying to establish what that connection was to the business, but it appears he was a previous employee.
Some of the victims were friends of Governor Andy Beshear. Paul Miles with more on that.
Louisville Metro Police say 4 people were killed in this morning's shooting at the Old National Bank branch on East Main Street. 8 other people were shot and wounded, including 2 police officers. 1 is in critical condition. This is Governor Andy Beshear.
This is awful. I have a very close friend that didn't make it today. And I have another close friend who didn't either, and one who's at the hospital that I hope is going to make it through. So when we talk about praying, I hope people will.
Police say the suspect is also dead. They believe it was a lone gunman with ties to the bank, possibly a previous employee. In downtown Louisville, I'm Paul Miles.
Reaction to the shooting coming from Louisville Mayor Craig Greenberg this morning.
First, I ask that everyone around our city, around the country, around the world, pray with us for those who are currently at U of L Hospital, injured, fighting for their lives as a result of another act of gun violence.
In addition to the mass shooting on Main Street, there is also an additional shooting that took place this morning in downtown Louisville. LMPD say it happened on the campus of Jefferson Community and Technical College at 8th and Chestnut Streets. Here's LMPD Major Russell Miller.
2 people were shot out in front of the building. One is deceased at this time. The other one has been transported to the hospital. Unknown on the injuries currently with that and the status of that person. The suspects have fled, and it's under investigation with homicide unit right now.
So again, to recap, at least 5 people dead. That number includes the shooter. 8 other people injured, including 2 police officers. One of those police officers in critical condition and reportedly in surgery this morning. LMPD says the shooter in that case was likely a previous employee of the Old National Bank. Again, that's where this shooting took place on East Main Street. And additionally, a second shooting also happening this morning elsewhere in downtown Louisville at 8th and Chestnut Streets. 1 male victim dead, another victim hospitalized, and suspects are at large in that case. That's it for this news update. Back to Terry and Dwight.
Thanks so much. Karen Travers from ABC letting us know that President Biden also aware of the situation here in Louisville.
President Biden has been briefed on the deadly mass shooting in Louisville, Kentucky. A White House official tells ABC News. The shooter and 4 others are dead, according to police. A lone gunman with a connection to the bank, possibly a former employee, opened fire at Old National Bank at about 8:30 a.m. A police officer and 7 others are being treated at hospitals. Karen Travers, ABC News, Washington.
And you're with News Radio 840 WHAS in Louisville. The Clay and Travis show will be preempted today.
It looks like it. We're going to stay on the air with you all, as well as our partners with WLKY as we continue to navigate through this.
Let me correct myself. I said Clay and Buck. Clay and Buck is what I meant.
Clay and Buck,
yes. They'll be very offended by that.
Yes,
Clay Travis and Buck Sexton. You can stream online there through their social to get the podcast of what they say.
Right, but we will stay commercial free as long as we can and keep you informed on this. I want to go back to something that you mentioned off the air that's absolutely terrifying, Terry, is there's protocols with a lot of companies.
With every place where people work together.
Right.
The thing, since we're not allowed to name the shooter, the perpetrator in this situation yet. But again, we all go through this situation of people who have knowledge of the safety protocols and systems that are in place everywhere that someone works. And if someone is a disgruntled employee or has mental health issues and they decide they want to lash out at work, the issue becomes what to do. And it's a challenge because if you put it in terms of a chess match, it's
right. The
person already knows 3 moves down the road because they're part of the seminars as well about what do we do if this happens, that happens. Well, they have that knowledge.
And I've heard, and again, this is secondhand information. I don't know about the building where this took place, but evidently you had to be buzzed in to get in. Why wouldn't you buzz in, someone whatever it might be? Just a horrible situation altogether. Want to kind of recap again. The shooter has been neutralized, dead on the scene. We know there's 5 dead total. At least 8 others have been transferred to the hospital. One of those are in critical condition. 2 of them are officers, and one of the officers as well is in critical condition. We're hoping the numbers won't grow any higher. There's no indicator to think it would be. The only reason I say that is an hour or so after this took place, we were being told at least 6, and then that number increased to 2. We heard 1 officer that was in critical condition, and that increased to 2 officers. I've got no reason to believe that these numbers will grow, but I pray that they stay at least where they are, Terry.
Obviously, many voices are climbing out of their spots today to be amplified in whatever means they can. Linda Blackford is an editorial writer for the Lexington Herald-Leader. I'm quoting her. How many dead bodies ripped apart by bullets are enough? Does this have to go on until every family in America has lost someone to gun violence? That's in the Herald-Leader. Their website's Kentucky.com. She writes, the headline writer says, get out your bullhorns. We have to tell Kentucky politicians we're tired of gun violence. Morgan McGarvey is the 3rd District Congress member representing this area, and on social media has posted this message. Today is a dark day for our community. Just 1 week after a heartbreaking mass shooting at a school in Nashville, we mourn the loss of at least 4 more people in Louisville. These innocent lives were taken by another senseless act of gun violence, this time in downtown Louisville. I am grateful to the brave officers at LMPD who quickly responded to the scene and no doubt saved lives. My thoughts are with the officers who were shot at the scene. Thank you to every first responder, from the fire department to EMS and everyone in between, who responded and helped our community when we needed it most. And then into the gun violence message. Our community is one of far too many impacted by gun violence. Thoughts and prayers for those we lost, those who are injured, and their loved ones and families are appreciated. But today serves as a stark reminder that we need to address gun violence at the national level so no other family loses a son, a daughter, and a loved one. Louisville is a big, small town where everybody knows everybody. In the coming days, we will lend support to our neighbors and loved ones, the families of those we've lost, and our first responders. We will get through this tragedy as a community, and my office will continue working with federal, state, and local officials to provide resources and support as we move forward together. That's from Morgan McGarvey, Congress member of the 3rd District here in Kentucky.
If you listen to my show, then you know I'm pro-law enforcement. I want to give kudos to LMPD because this could have been, it's a horrible situation, absolutely horrific. But I do want to note that LMPD was called at 8:30 to 333 East Main. They arrived in just 3 minutes after that call, thinking about how much worse it could have been. To recap one more time, ATF and FBI is actually working alongside of LMPD. They've requested that you avoid not only 333 East Main, the Old National Bank, but as well as the Louisville Slugger area. That would be the landmark. This investigation, I would think, would go on till late in the night, Terry, if not tomorrow. But we had reports from Ryan Straw when we talked with him earlier this morning that people were starting to gather to try and get looks. Please refrain from doing that. We have a stretched LMPD staff right now. All of the resources were pulled to this, and then we had another shooting at outside of JCTC. So please just stay back, keep us locked in. We're working alongside with our partners at WLKY, and the second we get any new information, we'll pass along. We do have Paul Miles on the scene as well as Haley and Jeff working on the story, Terry.
Indeed. Also have this is the audio from Broadcastify. Multiple people obviously losing their lives today in downtown Louisville, but Broadcastify is one of those services that takes the public transmission of messaging between first responders and puts it online. Here's what they heard this morning.
Another caller advising possibly 8 to 9 people have been shot. Have a description of a black male, white male, Connor, 6 feet tall, light blue shirt, dark colored pants.
So that was put out on the police radio hours ago at 8:30 this morning. Police officers, 7 others treated at hospitals with a count has been actually totally now 5 people killed, the shooters dead, 8 others hurt, including the 2 LMPD officers.
One of which is actually in critical condition. Rick, can we go to WOKY? It looks like they might have some information we don't know.
But have found out they can't get to their apartments. There's just been so much going on. We heard earlier from one person who came to the scene from a police trauma support group. Let's hear from him now.
Everybody's anxious. We deal with a lot of anxiety anymore as a community and a nation, especially with all this situations with